North American Ag Spotlight. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. My guest today is part of an ag tech company who equips existing fleets with autonomous technology. Bluewhite is headquartered in Fresno, California, with R&D taking place in Israel. It was founded in 2017 with the vision to bring sustainable innovation to growers worldwide. From San Francisco, I would like to welcome Bluewhite's Chief Business Officer, Alon Ascher. Welcome, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. Pleasure to be here with you.
Yes. Nice to meet you. So first of all, you have an incredibly diverse background. So can you tell me a bit about your life before Bluewhite?
Yes, so not especially from the farm, but I started my career in Israel, in the Israeli Air Force, trained as a pilot. And but the majority of my time I actually spent in the R&D department in the Air Force. And we worked on developing autonomous technologies for the Air Force. The Air Force is a big users of autonomous technologies. And there I met Ben, the founder and CEO of the company. He was my commander, also my commander today in a way. And both Yair, the CEO, and Aviram, the CTO. So we worked together on those different projects. So after my career in the Air Force, I worked in different startups in Israel. I did some consulting work on autonomous technology with the government. And I joined Bluewhite in 2019 to actually establish our autonomous farm vision and opening our operation in the US.
Oh, that's great. And it's an interesting background. Obviously, it's not typical of people in agriculture. Usually you grow up on a farm. So I think that's really interesting. So can you tell me about the early days of Bluewhite, about establishing a foreign Israeli startup in the US?
Yeah, sure. So we worked on various projects, but we really understand that the agriculture can utilize those technologies that we built for the Air Force in ag in a very meaningful way. And the majority of the Israelis companies understand that the commercial market for those technologies is not Israel. Israel is relatively small. So we travel a lot and have different projects in different parts of the world, in South America, and we came to the East Coast and the West Coast to really discuss with growers, discuss with local vendors how we can leverage this technology correctly. And once we realize that there is a really big impact and really big potential in this, and especially in the permanent crops market, where California and the West Coast is a global leader on those crops, we understand that we have to move as soon as possible and to be present and to build this from the ground up. So in 2020, we established the US subsidiary. We decided to do it in Fresno, in the Central Valley, like the heart of the permanent crop area. I moved with my family. It wasn't an easy task to do, but we as a company understand that you have to be there, you have to see it in the eyes to build a relationship. And since then, we work closely of building a local community and team to work on this together. Once it's established, it's still, working in 2 different time zones with a very diverse team. We have around 80 engineers in Tel Aviv, in Israel, and around 60 people here in California. Wow. Working together around the clock, day and night, to create something effective and to create an impact.
Wow. And are there similarities between Israeli military autonomy and ag autonomy? I'm assuming, like, as you said, that there are, and what can be learned from Air Force autonomy?
Yes, definitely. I would say three main things. First of all, the environment. Working in an environment with a GPS denied environment and very dynamic off-road environment. So this is topic number one. Second is having multiple vehicles working in the same area that you need to sync with them, multiple autonomous vehicle that you need to sync with them correctly to be effective. And the third would be the need to simplify, simplicity,
Right.
really simplify a very complex technology and operation to any operator. Okay, so in the Air Force, we developed those technologies, very expensive and very complex to work in any environment without GPS, without RTK, those technologies that a lot of robots are using today. And we implement the same technology here on our tractors. When you drive up and down an orchard, you basically don't get GPS reception, RTK reception, cellular reception. So the technology that we use to navigate and drive those vehicles coming from the same elements of sensor fusion, of redundancy, of having different data sets, kind of like asking together, am I doing the right thing? Am I positioned in the right location? So this is a very core element of our system. And the multi-vehicle thing, especially in permanent crops, you have in one farm maybe 2 to 20 tractors working together, spraying up and down the roads and at night, and they don't necessarily see each other and can synchronize. So you need this fleet management aspect. So the same very complex fleet management we build for the aerial vehicles, the core of it is implemented in our Compass, the fleet management, the Bluewhite fleet management software. And the simplicity side, the Air Force has a big topic of trying to move from 5-6 year trainings for F-16 pilot to maybe 1 year training to a UAV operator, unmanned vehicle operator. And now we worked on simplify that even more to like just few weeks of an operator to be effective for the Air Force. And the same thing we're trying to do here. The farmers, we want to use the current local farming team. We don't want to bring software engineers to operate this complex technology, and we pay a lot of attention and effort in Bluewhite on simplify everything related to the autonomous operations. So I would say those are the three main correlations.
Yeah, that's some really good points. And I know one of the kind of the barriers to autonomous vehicles has been that there's no service in the country, right? So that's really interesting that you've found a way around that.
Yes, we were, coming from Israel, we thought in California, with the Silicon Valley and all those great places, the infrastructure will be perfect. Yeah. And then you just drive a half an hour away from the city, from Fresno, from LA, and you realize there is no service. And the majority of those farming areas are basically off the grid in terms of connectivity, RTK, and so on. So we really needed to find something that can work and can work and everywhere, and you need to implement a lot of technology on the robot itself, on the tractor itself, to make it safe and reliable to operate on his own without reliant on an operator that will tell him what to do every step of the way.
For sure. And you recently made the prestigious International Agri Center top 10 with Bluewhite Pathfinder. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me about Pathfinder and really, like, as you're saying, it's revolutionizing the industry?
Yes. So Pathfinder is our aftermarket autonomous kit that can be installed on any existing tractor. one of a very important thing in our value proposition is we try to leverage and utilize the current asset that you have. I don't want to come and ask from you to change all your equipment and buy all these new things. I want to take what you know that works for you, the tractors, the implements, and so on, and just elevate them to be more productive and profitable. So the kit actually has ability, we call it a low-level control, to control the tractor like a human driver would do. Steering the wheel, hitting the paddles, operating the different systems, the PTO, the hydraulics, the three-point hitch, and so on. On top of the low-level control, there's a perception layer, multiple sensors, cameras, and LiDARs, 3D sensors with laser, inertial units, and so on, that actually they serve as the eyes of the robot. They see the world and understand what's going on. On top of that, there's real-time compute, a lot of computers that they're the brain. They're calculating everything that's going on and take the decision in real time and locally on the device. And on top of this is connecting to the implements, because it's not about driving the tractor, it's about executing the job. It's actually spraying, disking, mowing, dusting, and so on. So communicate with those different implements and communicate to the cloud. So this whole thing wrapped up together and can be installed on different tractor types, different models, manufacturers like John Deere or AGCO or CNH, work in different crops, nuts, fruit, citrus, apples, berries, and so on, and multiple implements, multiple jobs.
Wow, that's incredible. And as I know, tractor color is a big thing, right? So if somebody wants to keep their green tractors, they can just outfit them.
Yes, so our color of tractor, is any color. Okay,
that's it. Yeah, that's amazing. So we were recently at the FIRA autonomous show in Fresno in October, and I got to see some of this technology in action, which was really amazing. And it's really overwhelming what's coming down the line and the uses of this technology and just what they can do, right? So I moderated a panel there about business models in the autonomous space, because there is that, wow, this is cool technology, but is it affordable? We work in a very razor thin profit margin industry. So it has to make sense on paper as well, despite how cool the technology is. So Bluewhite founder that you've mentioned before and CEO Ben Alfie was on the panel, and he pointed out that grower success and profitability has to be the focus. So, and he said that one of the pillars of success always has to be asking, are we embracing the capabilities? So in essence, technology is great, but it has to be useful to make sense for the grower. So how can you add to that, viewpoint from Bluewhite?
Yes, this is a great question, Chrissy. When we look at the value proposition and the value for the customers, of course, it starts with ROI. It needs to make financial sense, return on investment, and make the farm more profitable. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, there is, of course, safety, the safety side, and ability to have better management. And next to that is accessibility, how to make this accessible. And we look at accessible in both the financial model, how I make it financially accessible for you to have this technology. Farming operations, growers work on tight margins. They don't necessarily have huge capital expense to buy millions of dollars of machines. So we created this very accessible financial model where there is kind of like one simple one-time setup fee for setting the whole program, the software and the hardware on your farm. and from that recurring subscription, one fixed price that you can plan and manage. It costs you less than having additional salary of a driver. So you save money from day one, and you can also manage and plan ahead your financial aspects. There's so many uncertainties in the financial budgeting and planning for a farming operation. So at least on this, we can give you some level of certainty. So financial accessibility, it's one thing. Second of all, the adoption process. So we bring our team to the farm for the first week, months, how long that it would take, to assist the growers adopt this. So all the configuration and the planning and the first runs of the machines will be done with a team of ours, and then they will do the training for the growers. So it's not like, hey, here is the robot, here is the manual, good luck. We'll be there to make sure that this technology embraced correctly, operated correctly, and extract maximum value. So this is a very important piece in the way we work.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great that Bluewhite is so on top of that. And then you mentioned adoption onto farms. What advice would you give to producers that might be interested in autonomous solutions, but they're just not ready to jump in yet?
First of all, the first advice is to give us a call and let's have an open discussion. We have a team that go to different farms daily to look and assess, what we can do here, what we can, should you embrace it now or later, how we can calculate your ROI correctly. So first of all, discuss. Second is, I think it's a very, very important question to ask, hey, do I have a team and time, okay, to try to reimagine the way my farming operation look like?
Right.
Because we can do everything for you, but the moment that we'll train you and leave, if no one has, can take this ball and continue that, it won't be a successful journey. So asking, do I have some sort of capacity to do it, or someone from my team? And again, if not, we can help this. We can help this as well. The third thing would be, after we actually having those operations running and get the data from the machines, we said it's not about a driverless tractor, it's about data-driven autonomous farm. So after you see all this data and we get from our platform this actionable insight, you can actually rethink a lot of and have those different optimal action points to take. Maybe you need to change something. Maybe you can do longer shift and save time on equipment. Maybe you're using mixer trucks and you don't really need to, or the opposite. So there's a lot of things that all of a sudden you have a clear visibility of what is working and what not, and someone to work with you to assist you on optimizing this. So I encourage, different growers in different stages to just, come along and have a conversation, come and see a demos of us or different vendors, and take this step forward. I think that compared to a few years ago, when maybe it was a luxury of, yes, I can make additional extra money in the end of the year, I think now it's a necessity.
Right.
And we see over the last 3 years this crazy increase in production cost, labor and inputs and overtime and machinery even, and the weather related issues that growers kind of like have to embrace any technology that can really reduce the production cost, and assist them create a sustainable, long-term sustainable business.
Right. Those are great points. And something that I often find a little bit conflicting. There are the two statements we all know in agriculture. We need to feed more people with the exploding population, and we need to solve the farm labor issue because there aren't enough workers. So I don't know how we have too many people and not enough people at the same time. But so it's a curious situation. So Bluewhite has a belief that by involving community in farm robotics, it can evolve 21st century farm labor to, I guess, really assist in solving those two problems at the same time.
You're 100% right. As you said, it's not that there's no people in the world or not people in the Central Valley, but there's no people that are willing to work in the farming operations. There's no, and it's not a California thing. It's not a Washington thing. It's not an Israel thing. We find out that it's a global thing. We get phone calls from growers all over the world, from China to Chile to Australia, that all have the same problem. The younger generation prefer to work in the city in more advanced technological jobs, maybe less physical, less repetitive. And let's be honest, after Bluewhite, starting in Bluewhite, I spend a lot of nights driving a tractor for 8 hours, 10 hours at night, spraying, operating our machines within and from outside. It's not super fun when you can do something else. So we see this technology not about, let's create a zero people farm or something like this. It's not practical. Right. It's actually, let's elevate the current people that we have. We might need less people, or we can do more. We can split the same people for 2 shifts, for example, and farm more acres, or do it less intensely. But let's give them the tool, and let's we'll have to call it, make ag sexy again, right?
Right. Yeah.
To bring back all this younger generation that are more tech savvy. Because now being coming to an orchard field to be a robotic field operator is much more compelling, and we see this rather than to be a tractor driver. So we really see and work with those local communities all over the West Coast on embracing and educating and training them to use this technology, to be involved in this robotic revolution, and kind of like bring this, as you said, those many people, bring them back to farming. I think this is the biggest impact going on here.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and really insightful too, as everybody wants to be glamorous, but then there's also a push to go back to the farm, and it's really cool that can kind of mesh now. So yeah, I think
we have great cool stories about growers that finish the first engagement with the system in tears, saying, this is what I needed to bring my son back to the family business.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like everyone left me. I'm here on my own, kind of like the older generation, and it's so exciting that now everyone would like to take a part in this.
Yeah, that's so cool. And another thing I noticed at the FIRA conference that really made me happy was to see the collaboration between companies. And, in the last, my whole career, you don't really see that at normal trade shows. It's more like, don't look at my product, don't, but it was very different to see everyone kind of sitting and sharing, and collaboration in ag tech has undoubtedly sped up the timeline of bringing this new technology to market. So what importance do you put on collaborations, and who are some of the partners you're working with?
This is a great question, and I think it's straight to the point. There's no the problem and the need is big, and the problem is so complex that there is no one vendor that can solve everything.
Right.
And the best way to bring good product to the market is to collaborate complementary solutions. So, for example, we're heavily focused on the autonomy piece. We're not doing agronomical crop analytics, for example. Our cameras won't tell you if the apple is ready and what is the yield required to this, because this is a whole new technology, a completely different, science, personnel, teams, and there's different companies that doing that much better and for many years, and it's better to collaborate with them. But now this robot, our robot, is running down the fields for every day, and he can generate the data for this company to create the yield prediction or disease recognition or whatever. So here I will, we're really trying to focus on what we're doing best and collaborate with it's on the crop science aspect. It's on the smart implement aspects. It's on general data fleet management. So we work with various company, Israeli, international, local from the West Coast, to actually bring the best technology for growers. And you're right, it has to be like this. Because there's so much to do, converting those offline farms to fully online, data-driven, everything. It won't be in a snap, and it won't solve by one machine. It's a complete ecosystem.
Yeah, that's incredible. So what do you think lays ahead for autonomy? Where are we going?
So I think we're now seeing, also for us, but for others, like the initial commercial phases where you see very good products that can be multiplied in hundreds and thousands, and they're more than a POC, or a trial. You actually go to a farm and you see vast adoption. You see dozens of vehicles running in the farm and actually getting, real dollar, real ROI. And this will bring more and more people to the adoption places. So we work now on this, on scaling it up, bringing more clients in, and also having larger percentage of the fleet to autonomous to create this transition. I would say that geography-wise, the majority of the companies are focusing kind of like the main markets with the biggest pain points. So California, Washington, like all over the West Coast, Australia, some locations in Europe. But as this autonomy will be even more advanced, more simplified, lower cost, it could be expand to more and more geographies. Also geographies that maybe the problems are less severe, I would say. People will still adopt this. This is one. The second, we work with machinery dealers, for example, that all their life used to sell John Deere or New Holland or AGCO equipment, and now we also elevate them as being the new type of a dealer, and to provide those services and this support. So I would see that autonomy would affect a lot of different part of the supply chain, I would say, not only the farmer, but also the guys that used to serve him and support him and provide him different services. So we really see we're actually seeing those impacts in the day-to-day.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point about the local dealerships. I think that's something that most people don't want to lose, is having that person that you can, if you need to, hop in your truck and drive there and look at somebody face to face. I think that's important. And, I hope we don't lose that. So it's good to hear that you're utilizing that model that already exists.
Yes, we believe in it. Again, we believe in elevating the current assets and current ecosystem that worked on building relationship and knowledge for so many years, rather than coming with the, let's say, the very Silicon Valley disruptive approach of I will erase everything and write from the beginning. There is a potential in specific aspects, but it's really about doing more with the same farms, with the same personnel, with the same people, with the same communities. And this is where it created the biggest impact, not only financial impact, but also educational and society impact.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I have one last question for you. Why do you personally serve the ag industry? What's your greatest passion in all of this?
This is a great question, and it's also came to me through this kind of like journey that I had, coming from the Air Force and serving, for a purpose of my country and so on. And then when I started to work in the technology space, but in different products and different fields, and we had AI project in retail, and we had different in different startups, and I figured out that I missed having this very important purpose, of why am I doing it. Yes, I can contribute there, me personally, me alone, on the tech side, on the business side, on whatever, but what is the purpose? Do I really want to work for advertisement technology or retail technology or something like this? And I really looked for, on my next venture, I really looked on having something that I can be proud of, that I feel that is important, and I spend my time to create a positive impact on the world. And this is why, I joined Bluewhite. I think this is why the majority of the employees joined Bluewhite. It's so novel and it's so fun to work in something that is good. It's good for the communities. It's good for the environment. It's good for as you said, like growing food and in more sustainable way. And having this higher purpose of what we do in our job and what we do as a company, and focus on values, I think it's something that is very important to me, and it's very important to us as an organization. So that kind of like led me to where I am, and I encourage also the listener and everyone in his journey to ask the question. We spend so many hours and so much effort, sweat and tears on working on something, and just try to be mindful of working for something that actually make a better world, for our kids and next generations.
Yeah, that's incredible. And to me, there's no more honorable job than to feed people. Right. And to make that impact is really incredible. So where can people find you if they want to learn more?
So first of all, they're more than welcome to enter bluewhite.co, our website. And of course, they can come and visit us in Fresno, California, in Israel, if someone around, or even shoot me an email. And we're very open to both show what we're doing, to collaborate with partners, and also coming to the growers field and assess, and maybe we'll say, this is not for you right now, because we want to create a success stories. So we'll share all this information later on so people can find us. And of course, we try to be active also on LinkedIn and share some of the things that we're doing. So you're more welcome to follow this as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was very interesting and exciting.
Thank you very much, Chrissy, for your time and the great questions.
Yeah. And thanks to all who are watching or listening. If you want to learn more, all of the links are provided in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe to North American Egg Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, or Egg Feast channels. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a great day.